Good day, everyone. Welcome to week number 12 for Decipher Wars Radio. I am your host, Mark Tuttle. I am Public Relations and Marketing Manager for Decipher Incorporated. We are 26 days and counting until the release of Wars TCG, and 37 days away from the Wars TCG first tournament weekend, which we'll discuss right now as we get into news of the week. Now, the first tournament weekend kit is up and available on Decipher's retailer website. Now, remember, if your local retailer is a Decipher Platinum retailer, they will get this kit for free. Don't even have to order it. If they're a Silver preferred retailer, they can buy them right now, just like any other Decipher release kit. They can get that on the retailer site that we send them the information about when they sign up to be a Decipher retailer. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details about the kits again, because we talked about it last week, and you can go to the archives and check out last week's show. But here's a brief checklist of things you need to do if you want to play in a first tournament weekend event. Number one, go to tournaments.decipher.com and use the locator to look for a Wars TCG first tournament weekend near you the weekend of October 16th through 17th. It's real simple. You log into the Find a Tournament page, you use the drop-down box, select Wars TCG, look for all the tournaments in your city or state or however you want to do it. Probably state's probably the best way to do it for the month of October, and you will see those first tournament weekend events. If you don't see one, that means somebody in your area is not running them, and you need to get your retailer on board for this. If they're not running them, this is number two, get them to order the first tournament weekend kit. We have a limited supply of these, so we need to get these out now. If they need any help logging into their account, please have them contact me, Mark Tuttle, here at Decipher, and I will help them out with their username and password. Now, number three, once your retailer gets the kit, get that tournament registered on Decipher.com so that everyone else in your area knows that a first tournament weekend event is going to be happening at the weekend of October 16th through the 17th. So we want to make sure all you guys get a chance to play and pick up that great promo card for the first tournament weekend kit. It's really cool, very powerful. It's called Expansion. You can see that card right now at warstcg.com. Now, moving on, don't forget the $10,000 Wars TCG tournament is taking place at Spiel in Essen, Germany, the weekend of October 21st through the 24th. Now, the qualifying heats for this $10,000 cash event are on Thursday and Friday. The way that's going to work is you can play in the Thursday event, you can play in the Friday event. You can play in Friday if you were not one of the 8 qualifiers on Thursday. All right, so you can try on Thursday. If you don't qualify, you can try again on Friday. Then the top players from the Thursday and Friday heats will play on Saturday, and we're going to just kind of divvy up that $10,000 cash among the top deserving players. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great tournament, folks, and it's going to be interesting because this tournament happens so quick after the release of Wars TCG, so we'll really see who the cream of the crop is there. Once again, this is happening the weekend of October 21st through the 24th. The qualifying days, Thursday, Friday, and then the championship event on Saturday. All right, lastly, player groups. If you guys are looking for the best way to stay in contact with your local players, make sure you get a Decipher player group started in your area. Now, you can do this at warstcg.com. Click on the player groups link. Pick a catchy group name for the local players in your area. It's really handy to include the name of your city or the name of your local retailer in that player group name so other players kind of know where you are and where you're playing Wars TCG. There's still a lot of spaces open on the player group, so be sure and get in there and get your free group signed up right now on warstcg.com. All right, it is Ganjun week, and for our weekly interview, we're talking to Joe Allred, game designer for Decipher Incorporated. He's here to tell us about all things Ganjun. Joe, welcome to Decipher Wars Radio.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing all right. It's good to be here.
Things slowing down a little upstairs in game studio?
Only a little bit, though, because we're getting started on the next set already in the past few days, and we've got some great plans coming up for the next set already. No rest for the weary, so going forward here, we can't mess around. So.
All right, it's Ganjun week here on Decipher.com and warstcg.com. So we're talking about all stuff Ganjun. Now, we've seen some great cards this week, and we wanted to talk a little bit about Ganjun's strategy. Now, Ganjun has some really cool features to it, which you won't see in some of the other factions. So just at a glance, what will players kind of pick up as they start reading through all the Ganjun cards?
Well, Mark, we looked at the Earth culture last week, and Earth has sort of like the big number characters, the characters with lots of power and things like that. Ganjun is a lot more passive. They have a lot of retrieval. They won't beat you by destroying you in one battle by beating you by 30 in a battle. But they'll beat you by draining you for a little bit here and there, and then retrieving a little bit to stay in the game a little bit longer, and then just winning the slow race. That's really the main way they do things.
So really, it's more of a manipulative type strategy.
Yeah, exactly. If I may, I can give an example here, and I can give one of the spoilers out right now.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm sure everybody's looked at the Gen Con demo deck so far. There's a card, there's a fighter in there that says when you play it, you get to retrieve an energy. I believe that's the Taman fighter. Another card in this set is the Amorian Shipyard, which is an asset that costs 0, and it costs 2 Ganjun support icons to get out. It's Destiny 5, and each time one of your fighters is lost from a battle, if there are no cards stacked on this asset, you may stack that fighter on this asset. You can pay 2 energy to play a fighter stacked on this asset at full cost to an asteroid sector. You may use this ability only during your deploy phase. So what you do is you're playing these fighters that retrieve energy, and then you lose them to the shipyard, and then you play them again and you retrieve more energy.
Nice.
And it's a big recursive cycle, and people can, get a big, a lot of retrieval of energy off that, and, you can get another 5-6 cards out of your deck out of that, and it's really worth it, and you can win a drain race off that, which is really what Ganjun is all about. They can win the drain race if they can get stuff like that going on.
Now, one of the things I've noticed in looking through the Ganjun stuff is, as we said, the Earth had the big capital ships and some fighters, but Ganjun not only has the smaller fighters, one of which we've already seen spoiled this week, but it has that ability to pull fighters, to protect fighters. There are some assets, there are some interrupts that will help keep fighters in the fight a little longer.
The other thing is that Ganjun has some of the most, when it comes to numbers efficiency, for instance, Ganjun has a ship that just costs 1 that is a 2/2/4. One cost ship that has numbers of power 2, tactics 2, and defensive 4. That's really efficient. You never got any of that in the Old Wars game. You could never deploy a 1 cost ship that had 2 tactics.
Now, what's the support icon cost for that though?
It's 2. A ship like that has 2 on it. But if you're playing heavy Ganjun, it's really worth it, and that's the benefit you'll get for something like that. So.
Now, in the past several weeks on Wars Radio, as we've been talking more in depth about the factions. We've been talking a lot about who plays well with others, namely this faction is strong in this capability, maybe this faction's strong in ground, so it couples well with this one that's strong in space. And I asked you that question off-air a moment ago, and your answer was, well, first of all, who do you think they play well with? But then why? Because it's totally different from what we've talked about previously. Right.
Well, what we talked about before, it was the Mavericks, but for multiple reasons. The Mavericks also have a lot of cheap ships that cost 0. The Mavericks have multiple ships that cost 0, which works really well with the Ganjun cheap ships as well. And both cultures have things that, Ganjun more than Maverick, that play off having lots of ships at a sector, which is great because you play all the ships for free, and then you got 1 or 2 hammers that come out and go off based on the number of ships you have at a sector. When you get a big bonus off something like that.
So when you were talking about perhaps using Ganjun in the drain race, maybe this is an all sector type deck. You're going for a space type deck, maybe less of the stuff on the ground.
Yes, that's possible. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is Ganjun's also has cards that can get rid of infiltrators. Infiltrators can mess with your drains on ground sites. And since Mavericks specialize in increasing drains on the ground, teaming with Ganjun to get rid of the infiltrators who can stop drains on the ground gets rid of that weakness that the Mavericks have. Is they can drain a lot, they can drain well on the ground, but if it gets blocked, they can't do anything about it. But if they team up with the Ganjun on that sort of situation, then they should be good to go. You have a powerful deck on your hands, so you'll get rid of that one weakness that the Mavericks have on their own.
All right, we've been talking a lot about the Ganjuns and how their stuff is cheap and light, and won't be huge in battle, but they do have some big pieces in their arsenal, especially on the ground, and that leads us to the second spoiler that you've got for us here. And this is something that people have been asking about. They want to know what the stats on a no-bot is.
We've been talking about space decks, and Ganjun can certainly do that well, but everybody knows when you used to play the Old Wars game, if you had a big space deck, you always want to have a couple big ground pounders in your deck as well, just in case somebody spreads a little too thin. You can punish them with a couple of big characters, and the Ganjun definitely do have that with no-bots. Like this one particular no-bot, for instance, who's 9 power. I don't think we don't have any other character with 9 power in the game. Character's name is I'm not sure the pronunciation of these. It's Dagan.
Sure,
I believe so. Deigan, which costs 6, has 3 support icons, and is Destiny 5. Its numbers are 9, 4, 5. It has a size of 3, which means it takes a size of 3 on any ship with capacity. Its game text is, when you do not have at least 2 other Ganjun units here, you dismiss this no-bot. So you need some other Ganjun guys around with this guy to support him.
Which fits storyline, because the no-bots essentially serve the various groups of followers.
Right, exactly. As long as this no-bot is at a site that has no support icons on your side, your opponent causes attrition -2 here. So if he's at a like a Ganymede location with no support icons at it, you're immune to attrition less than 3 at that point.
Nice.
And he's Destiny 5. I don't know if I mentioned that before. Sure. So he's solid. He's the biggest. I think he might be the biggest power character in the game. I don't think we have anybody else above that. So you get this guy with a couple of other Ganjun units, and you're not messing around. This guy can hold his own at a site.
All right, and of course, if you want to know what the image for this is, it's the one that we put up this week for the Ganjun wallpaper. So, Joe, thanks for coming down and sharing some spoilers and some strategy with us for Wars TCG.
Thanks, Mark. It's been great being here.
Moving along, it's time once again to check some email.
We get email. We get your email every day. Here's your mail today.
All right, our first email for today. This is from Kevin Klager, who writes, Dear Mark, after Wars is released, will Wars Radio continue, or will Radio Free Decipher return? I've actually gotten this question quite a few times, and let me address that. First of all, will Wars Radio continue? As I understand it, that is the plan, and how we do the show and what we do, probably we'll just shift into the next set and start spoiling stuff there and talking about how that's going, and talk about tournament play and what decks are popular and what cards people like and cards people don't like and things like that. But really, that depends on you guys. If you want to hear the show continue, let us know. If you want to hear the show changed in any way, by all means, we'd like to hear your feedback on that too. Always welcome feedback on Decipher Wars Radio. Now, the second part of your question, will Radio Free Decipher return? It has always been our intention to bring Radio Free Decipher back. Wars Radio was kind of developed just to handle all the information that we had coming out for Wars Radio, but we do plan on bringing back RFD at some point in time in the future in one form or another. So that is in the plan, folks. So, Kevin, thanks for that question. Second email today, this is from Mark Barlow. Mark says, hi there. You recently stated on Wars Radio that all 5 factions would be affected by the Quantum Foam released. My question is this. If the 5 faction races are affected, will lesser life forms such as tadpoles and spider monkeys be enhanced in a similar fashion? Sorry, the word monkey makes me laugh. And if not, what makes the 5 factions so special? Thanks, Mark Barlow from Wichita, Kansas. All right, that's a good question, and I'm going to kind of read between the lines here. I don't know that there's particularly any plan to make, Kaizen monkeys or bears or any kind of thing like that. But if we read between the lines here, maybe what Mark is really asking is, at some point in time in the future, are we going to see, dare I say it, creatures? I'll walk upstairs and ask him if we have any creature rules in Wars TCG. Mark, the simple answer to that is, at the moment, I don't know the answer to that. I don't think there's any, there's necessarily any plans to add any kind of animals into the game, but you never know. We've got a long, long time ahead of us to do things like this, and it might be kind of cool at some point in the future to introduce some creatures that have been affected by this quantum foam. So, good question there, Mark. We'll make that the email of the week. We will set you up with a great prize as soon as I decide what that prize might be. All right, big reveal for this week. Now, here's the scoop. We've got a lot of great images, or a lot of great artists on board that are doing some just incredible work for us with Wars TCG, and we thought, wouldn't it be kind of fun if we just did, for the big reveal this week, we showcased the artwork of a specific artist. So we just kind of reached into a hat and pulled out a name, and this artist that we're talking about this week is a gentleman named Sean Murray. Now, Sean is currently freelancing for Turbine Games out of his studio in Brooklyn. He's also a concept artist on their 2 major MMORPG projects, including the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth Online and the D&D Online. He's also done freelance illustration for other big game companies, and he's got his own website. You can check it out at www.cybermurray.com. But for the big reveal this week, we've got a couple of cards that Sean has done for Wars TCG. Here's your website address, www.warstiCG.com/articles/article.aspx ? Capital I, capital D equals 440. And you can see some of Sean's work there. Some great stuff indeed. And Sean really kind of took a difficult one in what he had to illustrate for some of these pictures. So you just have to pull it up and find out what it is. All right, one last thing I want to get in this week, folks. This is something that's kind of cool. If you're just so bubbling over with excitement about Wars TCG that an email won't do, you can now phone in to Decipher Wars Radio and leave a message on our voicemail. Now, the number you're going to want to call is 757-664 1173. Now, please note that any calls received may be used on the show. Further, this could well be a toll call, and normal telephone long-distance charges may apply. However, we'd love to hear from you, so please give us a buzz. All we ask is be short and be to the point, and we might just pick you out and play you back on Wars Radio in the future. All right, next week is Maverick Week, and they seem to be the odds-on favorites in popularity right now. We'll get a bunch of new cards, some new wallpaper, a new story from Michael Stackpole, and all kinds of great details on all things Maverick. We'll also do some Maverick strategy next week for you here on Decipher Wars Radio. If you have comments, suggestions, feedback, you can always email me at wars.radio@decipher.com or give us a buzz on the new Wars Radio telephone line. Simple as that. That's all for this week on Decipher Wars Radio. Have a great week, folks.
Signal verification is complete.